As an insurance agent, one of the hardest parts about our businesses is having so many different tasks that you have to do in order to keep the business going, from admin work to sales to customer service to answering the phone to following up on leads. And recognizing when you need help is crucial in the next step of growing your business. There's only so much that you can do at any given moment. We all have 24 hours in a day, and in that 24 hours, there's a lot of tasks that you need to be responsible for. Hiring somebody is very, very challenging all in itself. Not only do you have to interview people, you have to go through resumes, you have to schedule appointments, you have to do background checks, and once you've done that, then you have to train them on how you like to do certain tasks so that way your business can grow. At trainedvirtualassistants.com, what we're going to do is help you grow your business by taking the tasks that you are doing every single day and giving it to one of our virtual assistants that can do that work for you. I know that when I'm talking to clients, I know that my phone is being answered. I know that people are being added to my schedule. I know that policies are being followed up on to make sure that they were approved with the carriers. All these other tasks that I'm responsible for, I know are handled even during my appointments, so that way I can focus on talking to my clients and I'm not distracted from my phone ringing because somebody has a question about something. I know that the phone's going to be answered. I know that policies will be logged. I know that the information that I'm collecting will be added into my CRM. I know that my posts on my social media pages are going to be updated. All those tasks I would normally have to do myself, but now I have virtual assistants that do all of that for me, so that way I can focus on what I know how to do best, which is selling. So if you're finding yourself struggling with doing everything yourself, don't worry. TrainedVirtualAssistants.com is here to help you grow your business so that way you can focus on doing what you know how to do best, which is selling.
All right.
Wow.
We are live.
That was motivational.
That is motivational.
Who is that guy?
He was handsome, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Handsome guy.
Muy handsome.
Muy handsome.
Guapo.
Muy guapo. Welcome, everybody. We're going to impromptu live stream here with Eugene Marchenko, the owner, founder, creator, president, CEO, all of that of Trained Virtual Assistants, t-va.com. Head over there to find out some more information. But we're going to talk a little bit about it today alongside our Justin Brock, you know, the guru here. And then, of course, myself, Stephen Martinez. I'm going to be here kind of just running the show here. So,
yeah, we're not very savvy.
No.
Honestly, what happened was, guys, a long time ago, Eugene and I got so many virtual assistants doing things for us that we forgot how to do simple tasks like operate computers, because we just didn't have to. So we asked Stephen to come in just to make sure we didn't screw it up. Because,
absolutely.
You know, but no, listen, we appreciate Eugene going to be in here. We're actually taking him to the airport in a little bit. He came in. We celebrated Johnny's Dirty 30 birthday this weekend. And
I normally don't look like this. This is not.
This is his little Johnny Depp Pirates of the Caribbean look is not a common thing. So, but you know, we've been doing a lot of work with Trained Virtual Assistants, and you know, just wanted to talk about one, what kind of work a VA can do for you, the quality at which they do it, how to compare that to hiring someone stateside, and and you know, I'm a big advocate as well for physical employees too, but there's two different you know, constructs there, and so I wanted to do a little comparison of that, and then talk about why TVA versus anybody else that's maybe doing virtual assistants. And I'm going to start with the latter. You know, my experience, and I want to ask, you know, Eugene's you know, experiences, is the first time I ever heard about hiring virtual, you know, help from the Philippines. It was through Trained Telemarketers, which was Eugene's startup, probably
2015,
8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's other people that have come since, and then there's sometimes we see things said like, why would you? And we see this in the recruiting space. So we started Medicare Monsters, right? You know, it was Medicare Coach originally, went to Medicare Gurus, now Medicare Monsters. We love name changes. we started the group. We didn't recruit. We didn't have anything to sell. There was no solicitation. It was just to start a group, and the ecosystem blossomed into the biggest one online by a long shot. The reason was we developed services over time based on the needs that people kept reaching out to us and asked if we could help with. But when we developed that group, now there's people that pop up with a group ready to sell something, or they come up with an idea and then they'll use it against us now. So why would you join the hierarchy of a group that's competing against you? We're not competing against anybody. We market to Northeast Mississippi. If you do not live in Tupelo or Northwest Mississippi, now we bought an agency there. If you don't live in those, we don't compete with you. Even if you live in those, we have great friends right here in Tupelo that operate competing agencies. And I think we very seldom even run into those. The idea, the fear that if you don't want to do business with me because you fear that I'm competing with you, I don't want you on my team because you have a little bit of a loser mentality. But with that being said,
that's the beauty about our industry, is that there's plenty of opportunity. I say it all the time. We're an underserved market, and I think we would continue to be that way. We can't get enough licensed agents to help everybody that's turning 65,
especially quality agents.
Right. That's another thing.
Well-trained, educated. If you look at the number of licensed agents out there, it's such a goofy number because there are these factories of agents that just churn them out. Well, but going back to that competition concept is Eugene actually, and we were talking yesterday, we're sitting in the lake floating around the lily pad that I learned my wife spent more money on than I realized from Eugene. But we're sitting there and we're talking about the only reason Eugene at this point actually sells insurance is for the knowledge and relevance to the marketplace of how he would utilize virtual assistants. Because TVA, trained telemarketers, that side is definitely where his growth effect goes.
And I'm sure the assistants, what they're capable of doing is constantly evolving over time. The more tools and things that we're able to give them, I'm sure what they're capable is doing. And so, what they were doing 5 years ago for you is probably completely different than what you're having them do today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's the thing is, I want to stay relevant in the industry, and I want to understand the changes, and I want to know what CMS is doing and how they're changing, because if I don't keep up with those regulations, and if I don't keep up with what I'm allowed and not allowed to do, I'm going to have a mediocre product that could possibly get you in trouble, and I don't want that. And so trained telemarketers, TVA, all of that started with needs in my own industry or my own business in the insurance industry, where I had a problem and I needed to go find a solution. The work was already done. Since I already did the work, it's going to save you the time. You pay a little bit of money, but it's going to give you the solution because I've already solved it for myself. Same with these guys. You guys need a CRM. So what do? You solve that problem for yourself internally. You didn't go and start selling a CRM before you started using it yourself, right? You've solved the problem for yourself. And so for me to sell insurance, and we were talking about different ways to even grow my agency, that's never going to go away, because I want to, I need to help the senior community, especially with the Russian speakers and all that stuff. But then I also need to make sure that I can serve the agent better and understand exactly what you go through. So when you call me and you do an onboarding call, and when we're talking about your business and you talk about the CRMs that you're using in your talk, I know that stuff. I know scopes of appointments, and I know the requirements, and I know CMS changing the rules going back and forth. I know all that stuff because I live and breathe it, right?
Yeah.
Which helps you, the agent, and I can pass that back to you.
Yeah. And when we're talking, that type of relevance in the industry, I think is paramount. And the idea too, there's a race to the bottom in our industry, to the bottom of price. We don't make any money off of blah blah blah. I see that. I've seen it posted recently on some product or service. We don't make any money off our agents on this or that. What's bullshit? Trained virtual assistants makes money. There's margin built into it. And businesses without margin aren't businesses, and they go away. How can anyone commit to something without a margin? And so, the cheapest, if I go into, I don't know who on here is watching who's married and their wife goes to the grocery store, or their husband or whatever, or you go to the grocery store and you're You don't say, I'm going to go through the aisle and look for the cheapest possible ingredients to this meal tonight that I can possibly find every time.
I will let you know that great value Oreos don't taste like Oreos.
They don't. I would say, especially when you get into produce too. I mean, like you're going to get the cheapest produce you could find, the cheapest meat you could find, the cheapest canned goods. Like none of that it's crazy that in the agent service side, we have people doing that. And part of that is, historically agents, we're in the fire space, finance, insurance, real estate. And in the fire space, you have a lot of people that aren't MBAs. They're not, professors of business. They haven't worked in big business departments where they've managed marketing budgets or anything like that. And so there can be a little bit of a reluctance to spend money on your business. A business with just one person who doesn't spend money on it's not really a business. It's a hobby, albeit potentially profitable. The ceiling and the cap is not there. But so sometimes there's a reluctance to spend money, and thus when they do need a service, they'll look for the cheapest thing. I can tell you for sure, if you go out and buy the cheapest leads you can find, that you're going to have bad days ahead of you.
Investment.
So we, the cheapest leads are only cheap people, right? So same thing with us. When we look for business, we're not looking for the person looking for the freebies or the handouts, because it ends up being some of the lowest cost or effectiveness, not lowest cost, lowest lifetime value business. The same thing with TVA. I don't think TVA has priced itself to find the cheapest agents out there. It's to find the agents who are going to stand the test of time and stick to a program long enough to find the true benefit of having multiple, potentially you can start with one, but multiple people actually helping them. I can tell you from somebody, we have 30 plus physical staff, that the amount of things that you can do with people is incredible. And I didn't know that until we started hiring 1, 2, 3. And then it was like the thing
I think when you realize that you call it the power of people.
Yeah.
You're like, this is the power of people.
Power of people, man. Like what you can accomplish with more people is incredible. Now I've kept working in my business because I'm kind of an obsessed guy and wanting to grow. But technically, you could, if your goal was to just grow something, decent size and begin to offload work so you could enjoy most of your life, you could utilize people for that. I think it works better when you utilize the people to help you grow, because that keeps the momentum going, keeps them busy, keeps you busy, and it's fun. And most people that grow have the mentality for growth, So.
It's not what you do. It's who you surround yourself with and what you all can do together.
Yeah.
Because it is very easy to come into work and do a 9 to 5 and then go home and have a wonderful life, and that's okay too. But it's also something to be said about going out there and seeing everybody be friends with each other and everybody have the same common mission, same common goal. And the RVAs do the same thing. They're sold on your business because they know that you're their life source. You're providing for their family, and I see that even just coming into this office here. I love coming to Tupelo because I get to see the same mission. Everybody has the same vision, the same goal. And of course, yeah, you're always going to have those ones and twos that need to leave, but the core people. And so if you surround yourself with people like that, and the RVAs can help you do that, because the VAs, they're so invested in your business. They'll be watching my videos. I'll put a new video online or whatever. And I watched your conversation that you had with your client. And they're just, because they want to know the lingo. It's really neat to see just that growth happen.
You think about too, like if I'm paying $10.50 an hour for an employee, okay, if I wanted to pay somebody to do what I would consider equal quality work, let's say somebody, with a trained virtual assistant, you can have somebody working 10 hours a week, you can have them working 20, you can have them working 40, depending on what your needs are, right? But if I have a trained, virtual assistant at $10.50 an hour, the equal quality labor, and I've been to the Philippines, I've been to Thailand, I've seen the cultural differences. People want to work there. They're enthusiastic about work. They're very committed, dedicated, very capable humans, just in a different economy. And when I have someone here that I have to hire to get the equal quality work, I'm at $20 an hour. I have them on group benefits if they want group benefits. So that's costing me money. I'm having to pay payroll tax. So I'm paying 15% payroll tax. They're eating 7.5. I'm eating 7.5. So it ends up being closer to $25, $30 an hour when you put it all together. I'm also, to get that person here, probably going to have to hire them full time.
Yeah.
Very rarely am I going to be able to do anything less than like $35 an hour, because these people need full time. Whereas with trained virtual assistants, lower upfront costs, lower ongoing costs. You
don't have to manage them because we manage them.
You're managing them.
Well, one big thing is sometimes the eagerness to work is higher, right? Because sometimes you may hire, especially if it's like a family friend or a relative, maybe your niece or nephew. They may not be as motivated or eager to learn about the business as somebody that you may hire, that you're paying, that they're, it's their career. This is what they're here to do for you.
And on the flip side, let's say both of those, let's say I hire a trained virtual assistant through Eugene, and hire somebody that I know through a friend of mine or a customer's kid. That shit happens. And I have to fire both of those. Which one's going to be easier? Telling Eugene, hey, this is not working out, I'd like to find another one, or having to go to my customer's kid. My customer goes, or maybe it's my cousin. I got to fire my cousin. I had to do that. That sucks. It doesn't matter. Even if they suck, it's not pleasant. If it's pleasant, you're not a good person. But that's the beauty of working with TVA on that. And not every position is there. Certainly, like, we have physical employees, but as some of our assets have moved virtual now, so we have physical employees that we've moved to virtual employees, especially in this kind of like what COVID kind of did. I'm not a conspiracy theory. I'm not going to get into all the COVID stuff, but during COVID, it certainly forced us to push the envelope on what our ability to work remote was. And we all went remote. We forcefully went remote. It was Mississippi, so we only had about a month of that where we had to deal with. But that month of remote, I actually, several people got a lot done because they weren't distracted. We have some employees that we've moved virtual that have gotten, I can give you one, Kelly, director of our contracting. I mean, she's been with me, started as a receptionist, been with me, moved through all of that, been with me longer than anybody, moved virtual. She gets way more done virtually, just because she's less distracted. And then she'll still come into the office some too, like, to keep that going. But the thing is, like, I used to not necessarily be a believer in virtual work. So I was like, I can't see them. I can't do that. But if you have somebody managing them in between, keeping them, dedicated, motivated, you're training those trainers the tasks. That's the thing, is you're training the training team at TVA tasks. So if a virtual assistant doesn't make it and you get another one, you're not having to retrain that same new person. The training team has been trained to handle these tasks, and then they're retraining. They're creating the turnover manual.
Yeah, and one big takeaway from that was the head trash of believing that a virtual employee or remote employee wasn't working. And I think, like, Eugene could attest to that. Like, these people were active most of the day for you in your business, just as much as a physical employee would be, right? They're going to the bathroom, they're taking breaks, and when it's all said and done, the time they've spent working for your business is about the same.
Yeah. Let's take it a step further.
No, they take their phones in the bathroom with them. Okay? That's a requirement.
Let's take it a step further though. They're billing you for hours worked. They're billing TVA for hours worked. TVA is handling all that on the back end. But if TVA is getting billed for hours worked by these people, or they're paying them for hours worked, they're not. So, like, if I pay somebody 40 hours a week, and you know this, Stephen, some of our best employees is still the same way. Sometimes you're paying for people to just sit there, because there's periods where they're not doing anything. With a trained virtual assistant, you could say, I need 15 hours of work. You might get more in that 15 hours of virtual work than you get from a 35 to 40 hour.
Because it's actual work.
Because you might just be getting 15 hours of work from them, and then they're just sitting here for 40 for the other 25
paying for your
hours.
Presence at that point rather than your labor.
And another good point is PTO.
Yeah.
Right. So as a business owner, if you call out sick, somebody calls out sick, you're not going to not pay them. Nobody will come work for you. So with TVA, if I have a VA call out sick, I'm still paying for that person because I care about that person. So they still get their salary for taking that day off. If the kid gets sick or whatever.
Right. You as a business or company is paying
me,
that.
but I am not billing
Your
the
customer,
agent
right.
that. The agent, sometimes the agent will say, you know what, I still want to pay that, and I'm not going to refuse money, so we still do it. But the majority of the time, if the person calls out sick because they were sick,
Reduce the hours.
so if you, let's say you were doing 20 hours a week, but the VA only worked 16 because they took a day off, you're getting billed for 16, the VA still getting paid on that 20. Because now, if they're always calling out sick, no,
and you see that
that's a
how
different story.
margin can accomplish that, which creates a better business.
Mhm.
And it's these people that are like raving about no margin, or raving about like we charge $1 less per hour. Okay, but you're probably having to crunch that. So that's coming somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we don't all believe that the guy that charges 10 cents for a piece of gum in the store and the guy that charges a nickel, the one that's charging 10 cents is a crook.
Mhm.
Because, or maybe he can just hire better staff to keep his bathrooms clean.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the way business works. Businesses operate well on margin.
Mm-hmm.
The price is only an issue in the absence of value.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have value, then you can bitch about the price. When the value is high and the commitment level is high and the experience level is high and the rapidness at which we evolve the business to be better and better and better and better is high, then the price is not really a big deal. The price just has to be better than hiring the physical full-time person in this case. That's really all we're looking at is it more efficient? Am I paying less and hijacking a management team? Then what's $1 more less?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, it's $1 more less. Now I have shittier bathrooms.
But then also, in the agent could go and just hire their own VA. They don't need us, right? It's not that hard to do. There's lots of resources online. You just Google it, and then you can hire somebody yourself, right? And not have to pay those margins. But then you're asking the question, okay, well, that difference in margin that I would be paying for somebody to handle it for me. Okay, so let's say that's $5 an hour is what I'm saving. So is my time really worth $5 an hour, or is my time worth way more than $5 an hour to not have to do that work? Because the thing is that it's very easy to hire a VA and train them and go through all this, but it's difficult to replace them. Mm-hmm. Because that now you just double the amount of time that it took for you to get a good VA. And in our cases, with our vetting process, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 people before we get a really good person. That's where that margin, that's where the money comes in, right? You're paying us to do that.
I want to make this clear. So each VA, there's no additional fee for that either. So like right when you first sign it with TVA, and this is if you've looked on the website before, if you wanted multiple, you pay a multiple sign-up fee. But Eugene's changing that actually overnight to where it'll be $500 for the first VA. If you hire 5, you hire 1, $500 one time. Yep. Then you could replace forever for no additional fee.
So and to build on that a little bit. So let's say you come to me, you say I need 40 hours of work. Okay, 40 hours of work, that's what we're committing to. I'm not going to hire 1 full-time person. I'm going to hire 2 part-time people. The reason why we do that, and there's no additional cost, it's still 10, 15 hours, still paying for the 40 hours, that one $500 fee, and that's it. But what happens is, and now we have a team, 2 part-time people. If one person calls out sick, my team reaches out to the other person and say, hey, can you pick up this person's hours?
Yeah.
So now you're not out a person because you're still going to have that work done. And especially if you're relying on somebody to be there to answer your phone when it rings and somebody calls out sick, you as a business feel that. And that's just one small example. But I have agencies who are now doing over 100 hours a week. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to hire the 20, 30 an hour, 20, 30 per week person versus 1 40-hour a week person.
Yes.
So Eugene, let me ask you this, because a lot of people think or have heard trained telemarketer, right? And so when they hear like a trained virtual assistant, they immediately think telemarketer. But these virtual assistants are doing everything besides telemarketing, right? So like, give me some examples of like what they're doing or what your trained virtual assistants are able to handle for an agent. Like, give me some examples of what I would use that for, and what they're capable of.
So let's look at it from a business standpoint. So we as insurance agents, our number one priority is to talk to as many people as we can about a product that we're offering.
Right.
Anything else that you do in your business, which is also important, that takes away from your ability to talk to more people about insurance. Checking on approvals. Yeah, that's only maybe 10, 15 minutes, depending how many policies you write, right? So you logging into the carrier, logging into 2 or 3 or 4 different carriers, having to reset a password because you can't remember okay, so all that stuff takes time. Your phone rings, and they need an ID card, right? Let's say you have leads that need to be called. You can't get to your leads fast enough because you have so many leads coming into your pipeline that you can't even set your own appointments because you're doing all this service work. So we can do front of office work and we can do back office work. Anything except the actual physical selling part of it, talking about products, because you have to be a licensed agent to do that, we can do. So we can answer the phone, we can schedule appointments, we can go through your CRM. If you're moving CRMs, we can help you move CRMs if you need us to do that.
So if you just bought Go Guru,
that's right.
Moving it all in there.
That's right. Yeah. So we can do
somebody
that.
to do that for you.
Yeah, and that's one of our favorite systems that we like working with because it's how easy it is to train on that system. But
I think that you told us earlier, one of the reasons you like Go Guru is people that are using other systems, sometimes they're having to learn 2 or 3 different systems.
Mm-hmm.
Go Guru, it's
all there,
all one. So then the VA gets to learn one system as well.
The handbook, because we have training manuals for our handbook, if you were to look at physically, is about 1/3 big for you guys because how simple everything is in some of the sellers.
No.
because they're having to use all these different platforms. You got your lead management here and you got your client management here and you got your phone system here and all that stuff, whereas Go Guru it's all together. So we really like that. Now the other thing is calling the carrier with the client. Maybe the client has a question and you need to connect the client to the carrier for whatever reason.
Maybe the med sup got declined. You're just trying to figure out why it's declined. Right?
Maybe it's a guarantee issue guarantee issue one, and there's some outstanding requirements that a carrier needs a copy of their prior ID card or something like that, right? Maybe it's a trial, right? And again, so notice all the terms that I'm using. I'm using insurance lingo. I know all the rules when it comes to guarantee issue, underwritten, right? And that's what you get when we can do admin work for any industry, but we specialize in the insurance space because I'm an insurance agent. So going back to all the things that we can do. So we can do commission tracking. We can download reports. We can put them together because sometimes these carriers have different tabs and you have to put all this stuff. So it's a little bit of a nightmare, but we do all that. You don't have to do any of that stuff. If
I said, hey, I want her to get in here and download these commission statements, these reports and everything, I'm not physically showing assistant how to do it.
That's right.
I tell Eugene or your business what I want to be done, and then you're showing them exactly how that gets done.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Because that's
I have
the other
a visual representation of a TVA that I just drew. And it's getting knowledge poured into its brain.
That's right.
And what I'm saying is the TVA, the virtual assistant, is only as valuable as what you put into it, just like any employee, just like a checking account or savings account or money market account or IRA or whatever. It's only as valuable as what I'm putting into it, right? And so when you hire a VA, the good news is you're coming with a training team with TVA that has a bank of knowledge and concepts on how to teach. But the longer you have them, you can begin to train them on how to do things exactly the way you like. But let's say I have this line here is contracting. This line over here is commissions. This line over here is, calling back people that attended a seminar. This is calling them before they attended a seminar. All these different tasks that build up. At first, it's like, okay, I have this task. And let me tell you guys, every employee I hired them with one task in mind. And the fear, just like there is for all of you when you're hiring, and this is anybody, if you want to hire people in physical too, this is the same concept. When I'm going to hire someone, I have one task. I know that task is not going to take up all their time. I know it's not. But I know now, I have confidence because I took a leap of faith that everyone else didn't know something that I didn't know. They didn't know anything that I didn't know that's quantifiable. It's just that they had figured out that when you hire someone, they become an asset that you can get them to do more and more and more, just like you can do more and more and more. When you became an agent and you learned to sell final expense or Medicare Advantage or MedSup, which is probably most people in here, those are the three. One of those, it was one. And then eventually you're selling MedSups and you learn how to cross-sell annuities, or you learn how to cross-sell a dental policy. Then eventually you learn how to do a PDP. And then eventually you learn how to do Medicare Advantage. Or you could have started MA and eventually you learn how to do MedSup. Now, if you're still in the space that you only know how to sell one of those products, probably first thing you need to do is figure out how to do more yourself, because you can't figure out how to get other people to do more things for your business if you haven't figured out how to do more than one trick either. But the more that you learn how to do, the more valuable you become to yourself. Every employee is the same way. And a trained virtual assistant is nothing but an employee that you have a service to handle all of the administrative side on. One question we get asked on the virtual assistant side is, how do you guys code them on taxes? So how do most of yours, it's marketing is what most people use.
Yeah, because it's not payroll. So I have to worry about all the payroll stuff because I'm actually physically paying people. But you guys are we could be your marketing team, we can be your admin team, we could be whatever, right? So we're not your employee of your company. We just provide a service just like you would when you're buying leads, right?
Yeah.
They just provide a service.
You could technically hire somebody to manage your staff, and it's a management team, and you just pay them. You can, like we had some stuff like that on QuickBooks before, and we coded it as management expenses, and it just comes out as a typical, expense, which is a good question for an accountant and all that kind of stuff. But the point is, it wouldn't be typical payroll. You're paying a service. You're paying TVA. Now, let me just say this: when you hire a virtual assistant and you're paying them individually without a service in between, in my opinion, and I know plenty of people have done this before, you probably get away with it when you're small. But technically, at that point, you are now soliciting a virtual employee overseas, and there are more tax consequences to it. When you pay a service as an in-between portion, it does shield you from that because it becomes a marketing or a management or an administrative expense. That's just something to think about, when you're paying, because the way the IRS views it is, if I'm paying Eugene's stateside company, there is a US-based asset that they get to tax for that revenue. If you're paying the money directly to a foreign national, then technically writing it off as marketing, I would say you're not really paying a company, and you're getting into some shaky ground on that. Most people are going to get away. I'm not trying to scare anybody on taxes as doing that. You're probably fine until you're not. So it is better to have a service that you pay for that. So, and I have seen some people out there now in that virtual assistant space. Going back to that group thing, I think I saw another group pop up recently, another Medicare agent focused group pop up the other day. Of course, it was somebody that was a member of our group that's added thousands of friends from our group over the years, and now is going over there and immediately inviting them. By the way, if somebody invites you to a group, they don't know if you don't accept it. So you don't have to join every group that has the word Medicare in it. In fact, most successful people are probably members of two or three groups, and they go to those groups to get their content. It doesn't have to be monsters. Some of the other founding groups in the Medicare space, I think first group was ours, second group was Joanna Wyckoff's, third group is Christian Brandt's. And I don't know why you need more than 3 Medicare groups.
It's all the same information.
It's all the same info. Anybody that's starting a group past that, of which there have been many, is starting it with an objective to sell you something.
Or recruit you.
Medicare monsters, Medicare mentors, I know for sure, were not started with those types of things in mind. Initially, it was just started as communities. We had to develop services. We do recruit agents now, all that kind of stuff. It was never the concept in the beginning. It's why the communities did so well. We still don't go in there and just actively solicit and recruit. We let those communities evolve. These ones that start with immediately posting, buy this, buy this, buy this, typically don't do very well. So I'm not saying that because I'm irritated at competition. They seal their own fate with their activity and their action within their groups. But it's just interesting. Anybody can look at a business model and be like, oh, I'm going to start that business model. I'm going to start that marketing model. I'm going to start a virtual assistant company. I'm going to do that. But the end result is the end result is who's going to do the best job, who's going to market their services the best. who's going to create long-term value. Those are the businesses that stay. Somebody just saying, here's a new business model. I like his business model, her business model. I'm going to pop up across the street. And virtually, that can be another Facebook group. That can be another exact business model, same kind of concept, and multiple business models in the same niche is great. Competition, drives two things. It drives cost and it drives quality of service or quality of product. I choose personally, rather than sacrificing cost and trying to compete in the race to the bottom, I choose to compete in the quality of service, quality of product. I want to be known as the quality, person in the organization. Now, I don't say that with the intention of ripping people off, because I do think there are groups out there that, not in the TDA space or maybe even competing directly with us, but there are some people out there that sell consulting or events that are really expensive, far beyond what I could fathom being imaginably, useful for most of our audience. But sometimes they'll buy those. For me, there's a range of I want to create enough margin in the business model to really fulfill my obligation. So much over promising and under delivering in every industry. It's a plague in the business world. I mean, think about what these call centers do to our prospects, or the Medicare beneficiaries of the world. Some of these call centers, overpromise and underdeliver, to the max. And so when you do business with a business, think about the fact that that's not just in the Medicare industry, it's everywhere. Find who I want to do business with. I don't want it to be the cheapest. I don't want it to be the race to the bottom to destroy a business or an industry. And then years down the road, I'm tangled up in a group that couldn't stand the test of time because they were competing in that race at the bottom. I want to compete with the best by my side. And we vetted all the virtual assistant groups in the country, some that aren't even in other, that are in other industries. And as far as the combination of product knowledge, commitment to service, understanding of the compliance side of what we do, and just end result, trained virtual assistants, t-va.com is absolutely the best, and GoGuru is also the best CR. So,
that is true.
Hey, I will see you guys soon. Eugene's going to be back here actually in June. We're going to do a lot more content. We're actually adding content to GoGuru University and section on GoGuru Pro that will further support the mission of trained virtual assistants and people's ability to scale. And we want to help agents scale quality businesses, because it's in my best interest as somebody who competes with you to compete against the biggest, nastiest, most vicious, shitty, publicly traded, awful call centers in the United States of America by empowering you, educating you, and teaching you, whether you ever pay me a dime or not, to build an agency that makes it difficult for these pieces of shit to compete with quality agents. And I know Medicare Monsters is 90% full of people who want to do the right thing for people. And we just want to arm you with the ammunition, the firepower, the information, and the confidence to go out and make a difference in this industry. Because when we compete with them as a collective, I win, you win, we win. And so TVA is another one of those tools. You can reach out to Eugene. You can go to t-va.com. You can check out there, or you can message Eugene on Facebook, Eugene Marchenko, Marchenko. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Stay tuned for this message right after this.
As an insurance agent, one of the hardest parts about our businesses is having so many different tasks that you have to do in order to keep the business going, from admin work to sales to customer service to answering the phone to following up on leads. And recognizing when you need help is It's crucial in the next step of growing your business. There's only so much that you can do at any given moment. We all have 24 hours in a day, and in that 24 hours, there's a lot of tasks that you need to be responsible for. Hiring somebody is very, very challenging all in itself. Not only do you have to interview people, you have to go through resumes, you have to schedule appointments, you have to do background checks, and once you've done that, then you have to train them on how you like to do certain tasks so that way your business can grow. At trainedvirtualassistants.com, what we're going to do is help you grow your business by taking the tasks that you are doing every single day and giving it to one of our virtual assistants that can do that work for you. I know that when I'm talking to clients, I know that my phone is being answered. I know that people are being added to my schedule. I know that policies are being followed up on to make sure that they were approved with the carriers. All these other tasks that I'm responsible for, I know are handled even during my appointments, so that way I can focus on talking to my clients and I'm not distracted from my phone ringing because somebody has a question about something. I know that the phone's going to be answered. I know that policies will be logged. I know that the information that I'm collecting will be added into my CRM. I know that my posts on my social media pages are going to be updated. All those tasks I would normally have to do myself, but now I have virtual assistants that do all of that for me, so that way I can focus on what I know how to do best, which is selling. So if you're finding yourself struggling with doing everything yourself, don't worry. TrainedVirtualAssistants.com is here to help you grow your business so that way you can focus on doing what you know how to do best, which is selling.